They're first. Joe
Right,
Rogan
right,
listens
Joe Rogan.
to our podcast.
Right.
Why do the gays get to pick what they get all the good stuff? This is ridiculous. I mean, went to prison for 10 years for stealing 46 million.
Do not tell me he ate a booger.
Dude, he would have showed a little bit of cleavage. Maybe he'd have done all right. That's where we didn't have Facebook or Grindr.
No. Are there a lot of girls on Grindr?
We tasing each other in the nuts. It's people wanting to punch me in the face. How would you bite Santa Claus?
Let's do it. Come on. I'm ready. I'm ready. I want to do it.
Why? I'm not AI. I didn't do it. It'd be fine. She took an Adderall.
If you're going to do it, read the instructions.
Mental illness is not an excuse for behavior.
We need help. I got a shot and some pills. That'll take it. Madhouse Bar Talk, baby. Welcome to Madhouse Bar Talks. We're going to talk about the year in review. That's what we're going to talk about. It's December 8th. This will be our 65th episode of the year. We started out in January talking a lot of Trump getting into office. We talked a lot of, we early on in the year, we had our Deceived episode, which was really one of the strongest episodes we've ever had, was the Deceived episode. We did an interview with Paquito that was just released in the old Maple Inn there, Paquito. We even carried it here at the bar for a while. Didn't sell real good. I think more disappeared than what actually sold. But we tried it. We did try it. We had Troy on here and on one of the episodes in February. We talked about Elon Musk with Doge early on, and that has turned out that he's out of there now, although Doge is still doing, and I think they did some good stuff, hopefully. I don't know. Seems like it, and it seems like he's getting along with Trump okay. We had Terry Goffey on here. Terry Goffey was an old friend of mine that I dated his daughter in high school, but he was a radio DJ and a musician and gospel all back then. Now he does a Johnny Cash tribute. That was an interesting episode. That was like in February. It was interesting just because, for me, I loved it because, I haven't seen Terry in a while and I got to sit down and talk with him, which was nice. And then right after that, we had Will Foster in, which I probably should bring him in again. I think he has more stories to tell. He was the jewelry thief that has now found religion and has been working towards helping youth in the Cleveland area. And then me and Guido had the whole thing that happened with him working with me. That whole thing went on. We did our whole episode where he was complaining that I looked at I cut a piece that I cut for a template, and then he got all nasty, which was odd because that happened. And at the time, it was a joke. We did it the next day coming into the studio or whatever. We did a whole thing coming in and joking around like we were going to go on without him. And after that, because there was a big blow up, because it annoyed me that he just, like, for whatever reason, he just wants to tell me what I was cutting the wood for, and I know why I cut it. I cut it and measured off of it. That was the whole point of it. And it was annoying to me, and at the time it irritated me. But I mean, he is a trim carpenter. I'm not saying he's not. I was a rough framing metal stud carpenter, always have been. I'm setting the way I do things, but I don't do it every day. And if I did it every day, maybe I would change the way I do things, but when you do it periodically, you just kind of stick to what you know periodically, and that's what that whole thing was. But he doesn't want to listen to that. He just wants to, because he knows something or whatever. He didn't want to hear that. But at the time, it irritated me. But it was, I mean, it's just stuff that me and him talk about and irritate each other with all the time. But then that went on, and then we still did a couple more episodes. I did one with Walter. I did one with I did one more, I think, after that. I can't remember who. Oh, it might have been Sean Nat. Well, I think we did the whole thing because we talked about the SpaceX thing. We talked about the robot. I had the robot interview I did. I had Sean Nat. Sean Nat's a comedian in Los Angeles that grew up here in Lorain, went to Southview with me, worked at Campbell's with me. That whole thing went on, and then the whole deception thing, which was our number one episode for the year so far as on YouTube and everything else. We actually are getting better numbers now on Facebook, but on YouTube and on the Spotify, that's the number one episode is deception, which was the Mike Ogle incident where the girl faked the pregnancy, and that was in April when that happened. And we didn't. Right after that, we did like an updates on it, basically on what went on with it, and then we did the update on the chaos because I had the legal trouble. Well, you call it legal trouble. I don't know what it was. They came in and took the machines out of here. I still haven't heard from anything from that, by the way. And that was in April that they came and took those. So that was quite a long time ago. Still haven't heard anything from anybody. Haven't got any information. Haven't got my money back. Nothing. Weird. I have no idea what that's about. That was very odd. And then we started talking about dropping an album. We were going to put an album out for everybody. We were going to put an album out for each individual person making songs, and we were just kind of punching some key things into the AI and letting it make songs and create songs. And that's where we lost Guido. I don't know what happened. The song got made about him, and he disappeared. He just was like, yep, that's bullshit, and I haven't heard from him since. So I don't know what happened with that. I played the song for him, and he said, I don't like that. That's offensive. And then I never put it out there, and for some reason, he got all pissed off about it. I mean, AI makes the damn song. We just put a little bit of information, like make a comedy about, I think if I remember right, like the looking at that, I remember it was like, make a comedy parody about a cement truck driver with a big head that is also a carpenter. That's I think all we put in it. And that was enough that he quit and has no longer been on the podcast. I think we first talked about that album, and then we did a episode where we did a final updates on the deception, which I did with Mike Ogle after that. That was a final episode on that. We did one with the Squirrel's Nest, which is in Oakwood Park, and we did the whole tournament in July, which I didn't get a big outcome or a big outcry for it. I actually couldn't go. We ended up being tied up that day. We wanted to go. That was our plan. And then after that, that's when I started like saying I went solo. So we go solo, and I start just trying to interview people and bring them in. And we start with Tex, Trent. If you ever look at it's Trent Stops In, if you ever want to look at that episode. Trent's pretty funny. He's the one who does the briskets and stuff, a friend of us around here. So that was our, probably that was like, now we're at that point, we were at like 3 interviews since Guido was on, I think. And I had already did an episode by myself. I said Jimmy goes solo type thing, and we ended it with obviously an AI song for the entry. Now, coming into the next season, we've got a new one. where I've chopped it up, and it's very similar to what we had in our original opening. And I'm hoping to every year maybe just make a new one every year. I think that'll be cool if we could pull that off, like make a new one every year. I think it'd be awesome. And then I did another individual one, and then I did one, which I think that one I call is masculinity, where I was just debating is masculinity toxic, I think is actually the name of the episode. And I did that one, and then Christy came in to talk to me about whether or not it was, which Christy is Owen's girlfriend. And also was a customer here at the say she wasn't just Owen's girlfriend. Now she's Owen's wife. I think she might have been Owen's wife by then already. I can't remember. Probably was. Yeah, I think she was. She came in. It was a pretty good little interview. It went a while, a couple hours, and we had some fun on that one. She was pretty funny to talk to. And then we did a recovery episode with Jeff Simmons. And that recovery episode really got a lot of. It didn't get as much play like as an episode on Spotify, but it certainly did on Facebook. And then it really got a lot in the shorts, and people were really happy with that. I think I'd like to get more involved in some of that stuff. I think that was a very important message for everybody, and it was good talking with Jeff about that episode when we were talking about it. And I had no idea. I've known Jeff. I grew up with them. We worked at Campbell's together and stuff. And he'd come in here all the time, and all of a sudden he just stopped, and I didn't know why. But I had no clue it had been to the level that it was at when he went in. So good for him. And as far as I know, he's still in recovery. He's still doing good. And I'm glad for him on that one. Then we brought in Joe Miller, which was pretty cool. Joe Miller was, he's a state representative for our area. He's in Amherst is where he's actually at. And he came in, we talked with him. He brought up the idea at the time that he was going to be going to a conference about AI, which I really, am interested a little bit in AI because it seems like it's going to take over everything. So that was pretty good. And then that eventually led to another interview that we ended up doing later down the road with him and the attorney Matt Meshach, who is basically using AI, to do a lot of things for his law firm. He went to a conference with Joe Miller, and they're kind of like trying to put some guardrails. They're trying to think about the guardrails as state legislators have to consider going into the future. And that was an interesting one. I did one with my daughter for Father's Day. That was cool. That was pretty fun to do one with Alexa. Probably more for me and her than for you guys, but I certainly enjoyed it. And we did it without fighting, which is good. That was a good thing. And then right after that, we had Amber Smith come in. Well, Nancy Smith. Her name's not Amber Smith, actually, but her maiden name, I guess, would probably be, I don't know. Her mom's name is definitely Nancy Smith, so we just call her Amber Smith. And she came in and she talked with us. And when she came in to talk to us, we were, learning a little bit about the Head Start case and everything that went on in Lorain and the injustices that went on with it. And then I learned a little bit from her. I learned about the Ohio 4, which then, Kathleen Beyer stopped in and did a podcast with us where we talked with Ohio 4. And she actually called in. She had a inmate that's still, incarcerated from the Ohio 4 incident call into the show. Which the Ohio 4 incident was very interesting to me because we had J.D. Tomlinson on last year in November prior to the elections. We had him in, I think the day before the elections in 24, we had him in, and he ended up going on Joe Rogan shortly thereafter because Josh, what's his name? I can't think of his name right now. But he's an advocate for the Ohio 4. And so they were trying to get JD while he was still a prosecutor to get this case reopened and get the people freed that were involved in the Ohio 4, which the Ohio 4 case is pretty wild case. It's pretty interesting. It's still there. There's still 2 people still in prison. There's still like nobody interested in looking at the information on it. And it's been a fun episode. I mean, it was a fun, for me to learn about it and then to find out what's going on. It's not all that fun anymore. You go, this is crazy, And then we had a couple Lorraine powerhouses in June and July, which was Tony Giardini came in. That was awesome for me. I've heard of Tony Giardini. I knew who he was most of my life. I grew up in Lorain, and he was an attorney in Lorain and a big name in Lorain attorney-wise. And I was shocked at how much I enjoyed my conversation with him. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't expect I would enjoy it as much as I did. He was wonderful to sit and talk with, and we actually send stuff back and forth a lot now. We keep in touch with, pretty stupid stuff, but just politics back and forth. Nothing too crazy, but just enough to crawl at each other's skin. Then we had Dr. Mark Ballard in, which Mark Ballard's a great guy. He owns a radio station in Lorain, a gospel radio station, 98.1 WZ, so I don't know, WK, I don't know what it is. I don't want to say the wrong call letters. But he owns a radio station. He used to own some Papa John's pizzas. He's been a very successful man his whole life. Very smart guy. I enjoyed my interview with Mark, but I've sat and talked with Mark. And Mark's somebody I knew. I wouldn't be surprised that me and him have had some tough conversations, and we've had some great conversations throughout life. So we've had quite a few. So that one I was, a little less worried about, or didn't think anything. I knew kind of about how that one would go. And then we had Mike Bakulich on, which was cool. Mike Bakulich is a guy who invented camera systems to help him record the games, and he did it right here at Lorain Catholic, just trying to make things easy on himself when he was recording games for them at Lorain Catholic. So, and he's done very well for himself and has a very successful company just doing that. That's what they've done his whole career. I actually built his house. Well, I did part of his house. I'm not a builder, but we subbed part of his house off of Star Builders, is who built his house. And I was a contractor working for them at the time quite a bit. And I didn't know him at the time. I do now because he's part of the Lunch Bunch and all that. So, but yeah, it was a really, really fun to talk with him. He was, we went on for a few hours. It was really, and it felt like a half hour. It was just a great interview. If you ever want to talk, I enjoy talking to people like that who've went through hard, like the hard part, like of starting a project and starting a company. And the one thing that most people have in common with that is there's always some good friendships behind very successful people like that, and a lot of times those friends help them out. Some might think that they're business acquaintance, but let's be honest, they're a little bit of a friend too. But he was fun to talk to. I really enjoyed talking to him. And I've talked with him in the past too. So but never like that. Never got to sit down and really, for years, I never knew exactly what camera system he designed. And now I understand it's the ones where you looked at a screen rather than through your eye, through a piece, eyepiece. You were looking at the screen, and you had controls where you can control the camera and all that stuff. And now he has ones that are like telescoping, like the Eagle Cam. It goes all the way up, and it's an end zone cam. You can watch from up high and control it down low. Very cool stuff, but all just gadget stuff. And we also learned with that he actually helped basically develop the modern day cell tower system, essentially, just because his hobby was with CB radios. And a lot of the repeaters and stuff that they put up are the ones that are used in cell phone services, or were used in cell phone services as it started. So, he was a very good interview and a very, very interesting guy. part of clubs, always part of something, and always interested in hobbies. But yeah, Mike was a great interview. I'd like to have him back on. Then we had Bad Juju from, we had Chad Moon from Bad Juju, which that was fun. Me and him sat and drank a bottle of Basil Hayden, and we had a good time. that was a lot of fun. I like Chad a lot. He plays at our marina every year, and he always comes over because he's the dog. I don't even know if he ever remembered me and my wife, but he definitely remembers the dog and comes looking for her every time he comes over. So he's a fun dude and talented. Bad Juju is obviously, they're one of the top guys in this area, as far as bands are concerned. That was a good interview. It was a fun guy to interview with. We had Angel Arroyo on after that, which he is now was voted, and he was at the time, he was 6th Ward Council, but he was appointed because Antonio Baez, who we had on the year before, he had to resign because there was some concerns about his because of his work. Basically, I think there was some concerns about if he worked for the city of Sheffield that it wasn't okay or something. I don't know. It was something to that effect. There was concerns about it. Nobody said that it was right or wrong 100%, but he's, instead of dealing with it and trying to figure it out and maybe have been doing something wrong, he decided to resign, and they appointed Angel, who now Angel has won on his own accord again. And that's pretty great for Angel. Angel was, he went through a lot. He got in a lot of trouble. In his first time, he was city council for the same 6th Ward. And everybody liked him. Everybody was on board with him. Everybody was, but he apparently had some drinking demons, and now he doesn't mess with that anymore, and has cleaned his act up and cleaned his life up, and he's doing what he does, and he's doing a great job. From what I'm seeing, it sounds like he's doing a great job. After that was that Matt Meshach episode that I was telling you about, which was about the AI. Matt was showing us how I wish he would have got more involved in the AI. He just was like, AI is going to take over, but he never gave me details of it. I just kind of want somebody that can tell me and explain to me why and what's where the rails are, how things are going to get figured out. It just I understand, yes, it's here to stay. I get that, and it's making headway. I get that part, and I feel like that's what he told me, and I know that already. I think everybody kind of knows that. I was kind of interested more in hearing how it's going to happen, what's going to happen, things of that nature. But maybe he doesn't know any more than. I'm not saying you don't know more than most. He's certainly using it every day, but maybe that's just something we can't know, I guess is the right way to say that. But that was interesting to have him on there. I'd like to hear more as time goes by and see how that goes with the AI, or at least, or somebody else even, I don't know, somebody who really is deeply involved in the AI. I would love to get on. That would be awesome. Then after that, we had on J. Thomas Hoyte, which he had a book out called If Anything, which was wild because I didn't realize as I was doing the podcast with him that he was a son of the Hoyte, from Sandusky, that owns the marinas and all the shopping or the real estate. That I've done work on the real estate for years, but I had no idea that that's who he was. Brandon connected me with that one, and I wish I'd have known that going into that. I would have probably hit it a little different. I guess I didn't realize it. And then maybe not. Maybe it's better that I didn't know who he was exactly and just did the interview and let him tell me what he wanted to tell me. But he was a good dude, real good guy. And I thought we had a good karma. It was a real good interview, I thought. And then right after that is the Charlie Kirk thing happened. So, we're already into September at that point. The Charlie Kirk thing happens. We talked about that a little bit, it was really sad that I mean, and it's still to this day. The Charlie Kirk being assassinated at that time when we first did the podcast, we're just saying, wow, this is horrible. This kid gets out and does it. But now nobody kind of believes that that's the case. Nobody believes that Charlie Kirk was actually just like a wild kid just got a hold of a gun and shot at him. It sounds like, Candace Owen is definitely not. Like, she believes, I don't know, she's to blame just about everybody, I think, at this point. But I think mostly it's the French and Turning Point USA themselves. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm not saying that's what she said. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that's what it sounds like to me. When I listen to it, that's what it sounds like to me. And being honest, I don't listen that much. I listen here and there clips. My wife listens more. She, in fact, doesn't miss any episodes anymore. Since Charlie Kirk, she's watched Candace Owens. So that whole thing happened. And then Jacqueline Bradley came on, I was blown away by Jacqueline Bradley. Talent that was amazing. That's Jack Bradley, the mayor of Lorain. That's his daughter. Very talented opera singer. Traveled quite a bit. It's been all over the place. And she settled back down in Lorain and has like a music school or sorts that's on Broadway. And she's a great interview. Was at 9/11 when it happened. Was not at the buildings, but was in the city and watching it from a rooftop of her apartment when it happened. And it was like her first day in New York or second day in New York, something like that. She hadn't been there long. So that was pretty wild. And that was a great interview. And at the end of it, she sang for us, gave us a little test of it. My mic's cut out. She hit tones that my mic's, the noise gate on it just shut down because it just was like, and that's wild because we scream on here and everything. I've never had that happen. So that was pretty wild to me that she could shut it down with her voice, and it was beautiful. I wish you guys could have heard what I heard in the studio. It was amazing. And she had that new song out that Love Me Like It's 1983? Something like that. Something like that. Something to that effect. But then she got me connected with John Baumgartner, which John Baumgartner made that movie Beneath the Light, which was filmed here in Lorain at the Lighthouse and in downtown Lorain and a couple other locations throughout Lorain. But she connected me with him, and he came in the studio. The movie was phenomenal. Oh my God, what a great movie. I couldn't believe how good. I mean, I'm not saying it was Steven Spielberg, but what I am saying is that I was shocked that this was like a essentially low budget film. I mean, you wouldn't know it. It was high quality. They did a fantastic job with it. And it was cool seeing Lorraine in the videos. And I like the fact that they kept the name Lorraine. So that was neat. And he was a really good interview. And he turned me on. Then at that point, he turned me on to Jason Lawhead and who was the other one? Tommy, I think, right? Tommy Nickel. Yeah. So then I got those two interviews out of that, which is nice. You get friends that turn you on to, and then you just kind of meet other people through them. And Jason Lawhead, which, I mean, most of my friends know him already because he was, he's a Lorain guy, went to Lorain Catholic. A lot of people knew him. I really didn't know that he was a stand-up comedian or anything like that. I knew who his dad was, but I didn't really know anything about him. But it was cool, and then we went and watched him when he came to Cleveland, and we went and seen his show, which he's a pretty funny guy. And then there was another guy that opened for him, John Armstrong. I reached out to him. He did a heck of a job too, and I thought he would be great. And he was funny in the studio, which that was the first time of all the comedians that have been in here. And then we've had 4 in this year and 1 last year, and he was the only one that was just funny all the time. Like everything, he's just a funny guy. He's just, even if he's not on stage, he's funny. The other guys are kind of just talking and being normal and not joking around. I don't think that he has that in him. I don't think John Armstrong has that in him. I think he's just a funny guy, period. So that was cool to see that, or to have him in, because me and him we had a really good podcast. It was a few hours. He even ended up in an opening clip, I think. And I don't know if he's on this one. I can't remember. I did a 2-minute intro and a 1-minute intro, which the show is going to be using the 1-minute intro, not the 2-minute intro. But the 2-minute intro, it's funnier, but it takes too long. I don't know if I want to make people wait that long before each show. But maybe I do. I don't know. If you think I should, message me and tell me that it should be a longer intro. Because if it is, it just gives you a little more details in some of the stuff that's on there. Plus, there's some stuff that's just completely cut out. So that would be, I would like to hear from people about that. That would be cool. But that all started with Jacqueline and then John, and then it just kind of trickled down from there. And then Tommy was doing the You Fuckers Figure It Out documentary, which is still not released yet, which was about Jason Molina, which Jason Molina was a really interesting guy, and he's my age, grew up in Lorain. At times, we must have lived very close to each other. Different circles, though, because I was more of a, when I'm in my teenage years, I'm more, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't know, who knows? I'm Prince, probably more Prince. He was more like, rock guy and all that type of stuff. So that was interesting to learn about him, and now I listen to his music quite often. I mean, I really enjoy Jason Molina's music, so I mean, I do listen to it quite a bit actually up in my office. It's very good music. So that was cool, and that all stemmed from Jacqueline coming in, and I reached out to her honestly because I saw a newspaper article on her, and I was just curious. We also had Medusa in, which is a group of ladies that have their own cover band, they do cover bands. I don't know what you call that, if it's called cover bands. I'm not sure how you call that. But, it's cover bands, I guess. But there was a good group of girls. They come in, and we had them do the show on Halloween. We did the Halloween show. They performed here live. And a great bunch of girls. I really enjoyed that interview too. That was a lot of fun. I think that with these interviews that I've done this year, that I've learned a little more, because I know I go away from them and go, man, I screwed this up. I should have done this. I should have asked that. I should have, I'll give you an example. Medusa, the one that sticks in my craw, is that I started out trying to do the right thing. I come in and I'm talking with Kat, who's the lead, the one that I talked to originally about coming on the show. I'm talking with her, and she brings up a guitar, and then I ask her about her guitar. She explains her guitar, tells me about her good guitars. I go on to everybody else, and I never ask anybody else about their instruments, and I wish I would have, because that simple question led to so much more information just with Kat. I probably could have got a lot more information out of other people too. And it just starts that's the whole point. You're just trying to learn about people, and you're trying to have a conversation where you learn something that maybe you wouldn't learn otherwise. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I punch myself for not doing that constantly. I'm like, that's a bad move. We had Lorain County Pit Crew in, which Lorain County Pit Crew, they came in, we went down there, and my mom put up tarot cards and did a tarot card tent. They did a chili cook-off, and we helped. We do every year. They do a poker run. We help them with that, and we have every year that she's done it. Last year she wasn't able to do it, or maybe she was last year, but it wasn't this year, and it was earlier in the season usually. I can't wait. I can't back that up either way. So that was fun. Candy, and by the way, Candy, I've went to school with, and that she works tightly with a group in Grafton that Kennel's House Dogs, and my son is friends with their son, and we actually went over there and watched the Ohio State Michigan game this year. it was fun. We enjoyed ourselves. And if they listen, thank you for inviting us. It was fun, and we enjoyed it. We put in a couple oddball interviews that just like people that I had reached out and wanted to go on. One was Diana Hinosa, who was an insurance exam thing, which I didn't even know that was a thing. So, like, if you're going to get insurance or want to get your insurance license, you can reach out to her, and basically online she can set up classes through a series of videos and in person too. Like, you can do like Zoom calls or whatever in a classroom with her where she can answer questions as you're doing things and learning things. And it's something that she started up on her own, and she seems to be doing very well at it. And it started because she was good at her job and started teaching. They asked her to start teaching some of the new agents as they were coming into the office. So it was a fun interview. She was Mexican, and she lives right on the border and has some family that's, probably illegal, although she didn't admit to any of it. And then right after that, Craig Sikowski was on, and Craig Sikowski was a guy who he's been through a lot of medical stuff, and it's most of the medical stuff he's been through has to do with the fact that he was in the bucket brigade at 9/11. So for those old enough that were around to remember that, when the building first crumbled, volunteers were out there with buckets, and they were basically doing a chain gang where they were just handing the buckets back up and down and pulling little pieces of rubble out at a time, trying to see if they could find anybody that needed help. And he was one of those people that jumped in to do that. He was living in New Jersey at the time. And I'm sure he just felt like he needed to help. And I get it. If I was in Jersey, I probably would have done the same. I wanted to do it from here. So he had a lot of medical issues, moved to Mexico, and he lives there to afford health care because he can't afford it in the United States, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know. Then we did another one with Amber Smith because, believe it or not, after we did that, we did the one about Nancy Smith. And J.D. Tomlinson had exonerated, or not I don't know what, vacated. I don't know what they did. There was no, I guess exonerating was the word, yeah. J.D. Tomlinson had exonerated her mother and Joseph Allen, and they were in, that was in 22, I think he did that. And we just learned recently that the Lorain County prosecutor that beat out J.D. Tomlinson, which he did it by, which I still think is shady. They basically pressed charges on J.D. Tomlinson that they dropped right a week after the elections. I think that's insane. And then when they dropped them, they just kept saying, putting it in the newspaper and saying, vote J.D. out, like it was something crazy. And then it just all gets dropped. Pretty insane to me. I think that's a pretty shady move. But I mean, I'm not saying it's illegal. I'm just saying it's a weak play. It's from a weak, you didn't want to just play on your own words. But the thing is, he said that he would not reopen this case with the Ohio Head Start or the Lorain Head Start case. And that was part of when he was campaigning, he said he would not review that case. And then now he's done it again. He's reopening it. He's trying to get rid of the orders that J.D. Tomlinson put in. And then when he was asked about, didn't you say you weren't going to look at it? He goes, oh, but once you look at it, well, aren't you going against, you said you weren't going to look at it all, period. So at any rate, we had Amber Smith in then after that. And her mom actually came and sat in studio. She wouldn't come on camera, but she sat in studio with us and talked with us. And it was heartbreaking because here it is again now, 32 years, and she's got to go through it again. She thought she was in the clear. She thought it was all taken care of. And now, they're bringing it back up. And the craziest thing about that is that nobody's even arguing whether or not she's innocent or guilty. It's all about whether or not people dotted I's or crossed T's. It's insanity to me. Like, that is just, I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe in you have to do the paperwork proper and all that. I'm not saying that. It's there for a reason. It has to be done the right way for a reason. I'm not saying that. But at the end of the day, this is somebody's life, and I mean, it's either about whether she's guilty or not guilty. Because if she's not guilty, if this never happened, and I 100% believe that it did not, and if that's true, and when that's true, anything you do to her to bother her at all from this point on is an inconvenience to her, because you've already taken 15 years of her life. And by the way, harassed her for the other 10. I mean, this is crazy. It's got to stop. I mean, at some point, this has to stop. You cannot keep just frickin' going after somebody, going after one, and not even no concerns about whether or not she's innocent or guilty. Doesn't even play in a part of it. It's just whether or not you like J.D. Tomlinson or not. So we had her in here. It was a very heartbreaking episode. That was, she was very upset. Having to deal with it again, and it's consuming Amber, which is rough on Amber's part. So that was our most recent one. That was literally just a month, not even a month ago. Or not most recent, but that was not even a month ago. And we had Schlegel come in, he's a rap guy around here. He's trying to become a social media guy for people. Like he wants to become a social media company or a media company. I don't know what he wants to do. Something to that effect. But he's a rapper type guy from Lorraine. Had a rough life and is trying to make the most of it now. He was a pretty good interview. And then Tony Viola, which was the last one we had on. Our last interview, Tony Viola, was a wild. The story was, I learned about it after because what happened was we had Amber and her mom on, and then we did a little event to try and sign petitions or to get people to send letters, is what it was actually, to send letters to the prosecutor saying to stop. And we had this event here at the bar, and Tony Viola showed up and somebody there told me that that's the guy you need to really talk to. And then I get into the story, and it's like, holy crap, this guy went to prison for following the rules. They accuse him for stealing $46 million while he's driving a Topaz and living in Cleveland Heights. They frickin' suspiciously, the girl that helps him prove that he is innocent suspiciously dies the day she's supposed to testify. Well, it might have been the day before, or might even been 2 days before. But right before she testified, ends up dead from alcohol poisoning. And from what I understand, since that episode, with no alcohol in her stomach, has a 5.3, which is insane to me. Nuts. It's nuts. But and that's it. That's been our year in review. All our different interviews that we've done. It's a lot of interviews this year, and I really enjoy it. I enjoy sitting down and talking with people. And I enjoy sitting down talking with Guido, too. I'm not saying I didn't. I mean, we were doing interviews even when Guido was here. Guido never really seemed to enjoy doing the interviews as much. He usually stayed out of the interviews when I did them, which I'm not sure what that is. I mean, I did enjoy, I would still enjoy Guido being on the show, and we miss Guido. He's pretty funny. We miss his little quirks. But I am enjoying all the interviews. The interviews have been nice, and our viewership has been huge. We ended up showing up the wrap-up for Spotify. They sent me their wrap-up for 2025. Kind of is what inspired me to do this, I guess. They sent me the wrap-up of it, which I got it right here. Where is it at? I should be able to do better than this than I am, huh? I want right framed. That's what I'm looking for. Where are you at? There's a left frame. Well, you know what I could just do? I can just pull it over there. There you are. Now it's left frame. Ha ha. All right. So this is what we ended up with. in the whole thing. It wrapped up our 2025 right here, and it was kind of neat because this was from Spotify, which is where we're loading at now. We load on Spotify, and we've got us going right here at 2025. We were, let's see what it says. Hard work pays off. Total audience is up 514% from last year. Total new audience is up 999% from last year. Total followers is up 134% from last year. It's big numbers, big numbers. The year's episode that was above the rest, like I told you before, that was Deception. Deception was the episode where, that was a wild one too. Deception, if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it, because Deception it's wild, because what you have to understand when you're watching Deception is as we go live on air, Liz is, or the lady, the girl, not Liz, is living in Ogle's house at the time and has no clue that Ogle's onto her bullshit when we go on air. That literally is, and she's there. And at the time, and Ogle never speaks to her again. That was it. That was a wrap. Literally, we went on air, and that was it. He never heard from her. She moved out, and that was that. And she's living in England now. We saw that her sister went there to see her. We're still going with the videos. The videos that were on here is, what does it say in top? Where is it at? Yeah, top 15%. So of all videos on Spotify which Spotify has video, you can do video format and you could do regular format. Our video format, we're in the top 15% on Spotify. Not like in our area, on Spotify. Top 15% video podcast. Well, videos ever, and in general, not even just podcast. We reached 11 countries overall. It's kind of cool. So they sent me that, and it got me started, and I went, you know what? Let's do a year in review. That's a good idea. And I'm glad I did, because it was very interesting to me that I the one that really sticks out to me is that the thing that sticks out is that top 15%. That's pretty wild. But I will say this. We have a lot, our followers are all up, but we are only the number one podcast listened to 44 of our followers. So the rest of you've been cheating on me. I'm just saying, stop it. So, I mean, and then there's other stuff that's on here too. There's Morgan Wallen. My top fans' favorite artist is Morgan Wallen, which is weird. Who knew that? And then we got a Rising Star badge, a Marathon Show badge, and a 2025 Talked About Show badge. So that was kind of cool getting from Spotify. I was pretty happy to hear that. But that's our year in review. We still got a couple more to get in this year. We've changed our background, we've changed our opening, and we're going to change our close. So we'll see you soon. We got a couple more interviews coming up this week you're going to really enjoy, so keep looking for us. All right? Peace.
Jimmy on the pod solo.
Why do the gays get to pick what they get? All the good stuff, rainbows, the first month of summer, apple martinis. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, went to prison for 10 years for stealing 46 million.
Do not tell me he ate a booger.
Dude,
To sell chicken and not have barbecue or ranch is the most arrogant shit I've ever seen.
you would have showed a little bit of cleavage. Maybe get it done all right. No, that's where we didn't have Facebook or Grindr. We had to go to Equivix if we wanted a girlfriend.
Are there a lot of girls on Grindr?
Chasing each other
other than nuts, people wanting to punch me in the face. Why would you bite Santa Claus? Like, I mean, if going into space for 3 minutes makes her an astronaut, does that make you a gynecologist? We'll just make up a song for every individual person. For you,
people quit.
But we'll have AI write it. You know?
Yeah, you're gonna have people quit.
Why? I'm not AI. I didn't do it. It's gonna be fine. She took an Adderall, and my wife goes, "Oh, good. Well, then we'll be all right." I think people are smoking weed, ordering DoorDash, and playing video games.
If you're gonna do it, read the instructions.
Well, did you wear a skirt? Go ahead. I don't care.
My mom is 70. And then the next text said, and a lesbian.
I got swatted one time in handcuffs at Subway. They came in and arrested like the owner for selling drugs. You know what one woman's drama's worth? Can you imagine a whole fucking mansion of just drama? There's more Mattress Kings than there is Chick-fil-A.
Money laundering.
You piss a lot of, who do you piss off?
Mostly clients.
And he goes, look, some people go to heaven, some go to hell. And he just closed the door. Archie Bunker.
Archie.
That's who we need to make the rules around here. I promise it'll go too far.
Mental illness is not an excuse for behavior.
We need help.
I got a shot and some pills that'll take care of that.
Madhouse Bar Talk, baby.